Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the fanfiction guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Deku and Momo Raised Eri. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. After the events of the yakuza raid and the confrontation with Overhaul, Izuku Midoriya decided to visit Eri at the hospital, and everything changed when he opened the door to her room. As he walked through the hospital hallways searching for Eri's room, he finally found it. Upon entering, he saw Eri huddled in a corner, visibly frightened and trembling. A doctor stood nearby, holding a needle, which explained Eri's distress. Panic surged through him as he rushed to her side. Eri noticed him and ran into his arms, shaking and crying, pleading for help. Although he was taken aback by her calling him Papa, he focused on comforting her, assuring her that he was there for her. Hearing his words, she began to calm down, still clinging tightly to him. Izuku glared at the doctor, expressing his outrage at the situation. He raised his voice, unaware that he had activated full cowling, and confronted the doctor about the trauma Eri had endured. Suddenly, there was a commotion as Mr. Aizawa entered the room, using his capture scarf to restrain the doctor. With his hair floating and eyes glowing, he warned the doctor that they would have a serious discussion outside with the head doctor. Once the doctor was taken away, Mr. Aizawa reassured Izuku to take care of Eri while he dealt with the situation. Looking down at Eri, he noticed her uncertainty. She asked if she had done something wrong, to which he reassured her that the doctor was gone and that she was safe. Eri then mentioned seeing a man with black hair who looked familiar. Izuku explained that the man was one of the people who had come to rescue her, smiling gently at her. Eri expressed her desire to thank him later, and he encouraged her that she could. He then asked if she wanted him to stay with her, and she hugged him tighter, eagerly agreeing. He carefully helped her onto her bed, joining her under the sheets to keep her warm. Recalling her earlier words, he decided to ask her about calling him Papa. When he inquired, Eri explained that when they first met, she felt warmth and safety in his embrace, something she had never experienced before. Her heartfelt words surprised him, but they also filled him with happiness. He looked down at her and made a decision that would change his life forever. He told her that she could call him Papa, and her face lit up with joy as she hugged him tightly, thanking him with tears of happiness before eventually drifting off to sleep. Not long after, the door opened, and Mr. Aizawa walked in with All Might right behind him. As Izuku prepared to stand, All Might told him to stay put. He remained on the bed, greeting them. Mr. Aizawa informed him that he had dealt with the doctor, who had shown no concern for Eri's past and was only focused on his job. As he spoke, one of Izuku's hands gently patted Eri's head while the other clenched the sheets in frustration. All Might advised young Midoriya to calm down, assuring him that they had arranged for a new doctor for Eri, the best one in the hospital. Midoriya felt a sense of relief and expressed his gratitude. Suddenly, Principal Nizu emerged from Mr. Aizawa's scarf. Midoriya greeted him, and Nizu inquired about Eri's well-being. Midoriya replied that she was doing all right. Nizu noted Eri's attachment to Midoriya and asked why that was the case. Hesitant at first, Midoriya glanced at Eri and remembered her words, smiling as he shared that she had called him Papa. This revelation surprised everyone in the room. Midoriya continued, explaining that Eri felt warm and safe with him, which led her to see him as her father. All Might expressed his surprise, and Midoriya confirmed that he had indeed said he would be her papa. He acknowledged that others might be concerned about how he would balance school and caring for Eri, but he was determined to make her happy. Both All Might and Mr. Aizawa smiled, expressing their respect for his decision, while Principal Nizu mentioned he would prepare the adoption papers. Looking down at Eri, Midoriya softly declared that she would no longer just be Eri, she was now Eri Midoriya, his daughter. The next day, after Midoriya's wish to adopt Eri, she woke up from a small nap. Once the teachers and Principal Nizu had left the room, Midoriya asked Eri if she would like to wash up and then eat while watching TV. She eagerly agreed, calling him Papa. Midoriya smiled as he took her to the bathroom, waiting outside while she washed up. He recalled the new doctor's words about Eri's past suffering and his hope that Midoriya could help her experience the beauty of the world. He promised to do his best. When Eri emerged from the bathroom, she lifted her arms, wanting to be carried. Midoriya happily obliged and sat her on his lap as hospital staff brought in food. Eri looked at the meal with confusion, questioning why it didn't resemble the porridge or injections she had received before. Midoriya felt a surge of anger at the thought of her past but quickly calmed himself, explaining that this was real food that he and others enjoyed. Eri nodded, still unsure how to eat it, so he offered to feed her. When she took her first bite, her eyes lit up with delight, and she exclaimed that it was delicious. Midoriya felt a wave of happiness as he turned on the TV for her while she continued eating. After she finished, Midoriya gently reminded Eri that the doctor needed to perform some tests. Eri trembled at the thought, and he reassured her that it wouldn't hurt and that he would be there with her. She smiled softly, comforted by his presence, and declared that she was ready. Midoriya called for the doctor. Once Eri completed her tests, All Might entered the room. Eri was initially frightened, but Midoriya calmed her, explaining that All Might was his mentor and the #1 hero. Eri relaxed and greeted him. All Might smiled gently at her, expressing his concern for both her and Midoriya. Midoriya noticed All Might holding something and asked about it. All Might revealed that Principal Nizu had prepared the adoption papers, which he was now passing to Midoriya for him to sign. Eri curiously asked what adopt meant, and Midoriya explained that signing the papers would make him her official papa. Eri's face lit up with joy as she exclaimed her love for him, filling the room with warmth and happiness. Midoriya then pondered how his classmates would react to this news. His thoughts drifted to Momo Yaoyorozu, the girl he admired not just for her looks but for her confidence, hard work, and kindness. Unbeknownst to him, Momo had feelings for him as well, having been impressed by his courage during the sports festival when he sacrificed his own position to help Todoroki. Their bond had grown closer, and even some of their classmates, including Ida, Uraraka, Todoroki, Jiru, Mina, and surprisingly Bakugo, had noticed their connection. Bakugo and Midoriya had grown closer ever since their fight, becoming friends while still rivals. Bakugo remained, at times, the fiery personality everyone knew and loved. Izuku first called his mother, asking her to visit him at the hospital. When she arrived, he shared everything that had happened. Surprisingly, Eri wasn't scared of Inko. She noticed that Inko resembled her papa. When Inko rushed to give Izuku a hug, Eri felt the same warmth that her papa had, which calmed her. Izuku introduced Eri as his adopted daughter, feeling anxious about how his mother would react. To his relief, she hugged both him and Eri tightly, exclaiming with joy about having a granddaughter. They all shared a laugh, and Eri giggled, saying that Inko's hug was tickling her. After a while, Inko surprised Izuku by mentioning that she had spoken to his friend Momo, who seemed very worried about him. Izuku was taken aback, curious about how they had met. Inko explained that she had bumped into Momo while grocery shopping, describing her as a kind and polite girl who had said many great things about him. Hearing this made Izuku blush. Inko then suggested that he should take the opportunity to confess his feelings to Momo, hinting that she might feel the same way. Encouraged, Izuku agreed to call Momo the next day, determined to express his feelings for her. The story continued from where Izuku had decided to confess his love to Momo Yaoyorozu. During the raid, he had experienced a growth spurt and was now 178 centimeters tall, or 5 feet 10 inches. One morning, while the rest of the class visited their families, Izuku stayed in the dorms. He heard his phone ringing and realized it was Momo. Concerned since he hadn't heard from her since the raid, he answered the call. Momo's voice was filled with worry as she asked if he was all right and where he was. Izuku informed her that he was at the hospital taking care of Eri and wanted her to be one of the first to meet her. Momo was shocked but excited, agreeing to come over shortly. As they ended the call, Momo blushed at his last words, her heart racing with the thought that he might confess his feelings for her. After calming down, she prepared breakfast for both Izuku and Eri before heading to the hospital. Upon arriving at Eri's room, Momo opened the door to find Izuku and Eri giggling while watching TV. Izuku noticed her at the door and smiled. Momo felt a mix of happiness and nervousness, unsure of how to approach the conversation about her feelings. Eri, noticing Momo, greeted her enthusiastically. Momo introduced herself to Eri, who then referred to Izuku as Papa. This revelation surprised Momo, who had learned about the adoption from Izuku. Deep down, she wished she could be Eri's mother. Izuku asked Momo what she was holding, and she explained that she had made breakfast for both him and Eri. Grateful, Izuku thanked her, and Eri echoed his sentiment. Momo then asked Eri what she would like to have at that moment. Eri expressed her desire for a Papa plushie. Using her quirk, Momo created plushies of Izuku in various hero suits. Eri's eyes lit up with joy as she exclaimed her gratitude, jumping up to hug Momo tightly. Momo felt a blush creep onto her cheeks at Eri's words, and she noticed Izuku's face turning bright red as well. Eri then began to play with the plushies just as Inko entered the room, greeting Momo warmly. Momo responded with a cheerful greeting, and Inko encouraged her to call her by her first name. Izuku got out of bed to hug his mother, wishing her a good morning, while Eri excitedly showed Inko the plushies Momo had made. Inko expressed her admiration for Momo and Eri, asking if Eri had thanked Momo. Eri nodded happily while continuing to play with the plushies. Izuku turned to Inko, requesting her to take care of Eri for a while as he wanted to talk to Momo outside. Inko agreed with a wink, leaving Izuku blushing, aware of her intentions. He approached Momo and suggested they talk outside, to which she readily agreed. They made their way to the rooftop of the hospital. Momo looked at Izuku, who appeared nervous yet smiled as she inquired about the reason for their conversation. Izuku took a deep breath and expressed his gratitude for her unwavering support and encouragement. He had always wanted to tell her something important, especially after witnessing her kindness toward Eri. Blushing, he declared his feelings, saying he loved Momo and asked if she would be his girlfriend. Momo was taken aback but filled with joy, responding that she would love to be his girlfriend. They embraced, their eyes locking as they leaned in for a kiss. In his mind, Izuku felt a sense of fulfillment, vowing never to let Momo go. After a couple of minutes, they pulled away, both panting with excitement. Momo shared that she had loved him since the sports festival, admiring his determination and selflessness. She appreciated how he treated her with respect, unlike others who focused on her status. Izuku smiled, relieved to finally express his feelings, promising to do his best to make her happy. Momo knew he would keep that promise. They shared another kiss, and then Izuku asked Momo if she would like to be Eri's mother. Filled with excitement, Momo eagerly agreed, envisioning a future with a big, happy family. Izuku suggested they share the news with Inko and Eri, and as he held her hand, Momo affectionately called him Aizu, which surprised him but made him smile. Returning to Eri's room, they found Inko and Eri playing with the plushies Momo had made. Inko noticed her son and Momo holding hands and expressed her approval of their relationship, encouraging Momo to take care of Izuku. Momo promised to do so, and Eri greeted them cheerfully. They asked Eri if she would like to have a mama, to which she joyfully replied that she would, emphasizing that a mama must love her papa. Momo reassured Eri that she loved her papa and wanted to be her mama. Eri enthusiastically accepted Momo, expressing her gratitude and asking her to take care of both her and Izuku. Eri's innocent smile warmed the hearts of everyone in the room. Momo promised to love and care for both Eri and Izuku, while Izuku echoed his love for them. As Eri hugged Momo tightly, tears of joy filled her eyes, and she fell asleep in Momo's embrace. Inko watched the touching scene, her eyes misty with emotion. Izuku kissed Momo, declaring his love for both her and Eri, and they decided to finalize their family by signing the adoption papers. Eri was no longer just a girl saved from danger, she was now Eri Midoriya, the beloved daughter of Izuku Midoriya and Momo Yaoyorozu. After submitting the adoption papers, Izuku, Momo, and Inko were playing with Eri when they heard the door open. Mr. Aizawa, All Might, Principal Nizu, and the doctor entered the room. The playful atmosphere shifted as Eri spotted Mr. Aizawa and ran to him. She expressed her gratitude, mentioning that he was one of the people who helped save her and kept the doctor away the day before. This made Aizawa smile gently as he patted her head and acknowledged her thanks. Eri then noticed Principal Nizu and, curious about him, learned that he was the principal at Izuku's school. She affectionately called him Uncle Nizu. When she saw All Might, she greeted him as Grandpa Might, which touched him deeply. He responded with a warm smile, pleased by her words. The doctor informed Izuku that Eri's tests were fine and that she could be discharged that night, though she had some vitamin deficiencies. He advised Izuku to collect some vitamin pills for her. Izuku thanked the doctor, who smiled and left. All Might then turned to Momo, asking why she was there. Momo explained that Izuku had asked her to come, and they had become a couple while adopting Eri together. This revelation surprised everyone in the room. Principal Nizu expressed his happiness that Eri had two wonderful parents to care for her. Both Izuku and Momo thanked him, and Mr. Aizawa commented on Izuku finding someone special, hoping he wouldn't cause any more trouble. Momo reassured him that everything would be fine, causing both her and Izuku to blush. All Might looked at Eri, who had run back to hug her new parents, and remarked on how lucky she was to have them. Eri enthusiastically declared that her mama and papa were the best, proudly showing off her Deku plushies, which brought smiles to Aizawa, Nizu, and All Might. Principal Nizu then assured Izuku that UA would provide financial support for Eri's care, including funds for clothes and essentials. The couple expressed their gratitude. Nizu also offered to have Cementos combine their rooms so that they could all be together, to which they happily agreed. He handed Izuku a credit card in his name and another to Momo, explaining that while she could use her own money, this was for her new family. Momo thanked him, and Izuku suggested to Inko that they go shopping for Eri later. She happily agreed, and Izuku felt a mix of excitement and apprehension about how much his mother might spend on her grandchild. After the teachers and principal left for UA, Momo and Inko began packing their things in the hospital room while Izuku went downstairs to collect the vitamin pills for Eri. Once that was done, Momo approached Eri and informed her that they would be leaving the hospital to go to their dorm at UA. Eri, curious but not nervous, asked if there would be many people there. Momo reassured her that most of their friends were visiting their families, so she wouldn't meet many at that moment, but she could meet them when they returned. Eri agreed, trusting Momo's judgment about her friends. Inko drove them home, and as they loaded their things into the car, Eri sat between Momo and Izuku. During the ride, Eri moved to Izuku's lap, gazing out the window in wonder at the buildings and the shiny objects in the sky. Izuku explained that those were stars, lighting up the night along with the moon. Despite it being only 6:30 p.m., the stars and moon were already visible, captivating Eri's attention for the rest of the ride. Momo leaned closer to Izuku, hugging his arm and resting her head on his shoulder. They exchanged loving glances, affirming their feelings for each other as they shared a gentle kiss. Inko heard the cheerful voices and smiled at the front mirror, reflecting on how much her son had grown. Once they arrived at UA, they saw Mr. Aizawa and All Might standing at the front door of the dorms. All Might greeted them warmly, explaining that Principal Nizu was still busy but they would show them to their new dorm room. Everyone nodded in agreement as All Might and Mr. Aizawa helped carry some of their belongings to the new dorm. Eri held onto Momo's hand on one side and Izuku's on the other, with Inko following closely behind. They reached the highest level of the dorm, and as the door opened, they were greeted by a spacious living room, kitchen, several bedrooms, a playroom, a spa, a swimming pool, and a gym, all thoughtfully prepared for them. Izuku's All Might collection was already set up in one of the rooms, but not in the master bedroom where Momo and Izuku would be sleeping. The couple was taken aback by the generosity and expressed their gratitude, while Mr. Aizawa explained that Nizu wanted to make Eri feel at home by giving her a larger living space than just a one-room dorm. Eri, curious, asked her parents if this was their new home, and they nodded, affirming her with endearing nicknames. Her smile lit up the room. Eri joyfully ran around her new home, prompting Inko to turn to her son. She suggested that she and Momo go shopping for some things for Eri. Izuku, though a bit nervous about the darkening sky, agreed. Momo, sensing his apprehension, showed him a stun gun, pepper spray, and a gun with rubber bullets, just in case they encountered any trouble. This reassured Izuku, and he encouraged them to go shopping while he unpacked. They smiled, bringing Eri along and telling her they would buy clothes and other items for her, which excited her. Momo gave Izuku a quick kiss before they left for the mall, making Izuku shiver with anticipation about how much his girlfriend and mother would spend on Eri. As he looked around the new dorm, he felt a wave of gratitude wash over him, realizing how lucky he was. He began setting up the dorm with the help of All Might and Mr. Aizawa. After some time, they finished arranging everything, and Izuku thanked them for their assistance. All Might praised him for his efforts, wishing him and his new family happiness. Izuku smiled and expressed his gratitude once more before All Might departed. Not long after, Momo, Inko, and Eri returned, and Izuku was taken aback by the number of bags Momo had conjured with her quirk. He had anticipated this but still felt overwhelmed. He greeted Momo with a kiss and hugged his mother, noticing Eri walking toward the table where fresh fruit was laid out. She picked up an apple, took a bite, and exclaimed how sweet it was, prompting Izuku and Momo to exchange knowing glances, realizing she loved apples. After they finished unpacking, Inko waved goodbye, even though Izuku and Momo insisted she stay for the night. She assured them it was fine and left, leaving just the three of them. After taking a bath, Izuku and Momo joined Eri, who had just finished her own bath. They dried their hair and settled down to watch some TV while cuddling. Eri began to yawn, and Izuku asked if she was tired. She nodded, rubbing her eyes, so they changed into pajamas, with Momo helping Eri. Eri decided to sleep in her own room, wanting to be strong like her papa and face her past without nightmares. Momo and Izuku supported her choice, reading her a bedtime story before kissing her forehead and heading to their room. In their room, Izuku and Momo snuggled under the sheets, gazing at each other. Izuku expressed his gratitude to Momo, telling her how much he loved her. She reciprocated, thanking him and sharing her love for him as well. They shared a tender kiss before wishing each other good night and peacefully drifting off to sleep after such a wonderful day. The next morning, Izuku woke up, feeling warmth on his chest. He smiled, realizing Momo was sleeping on him. He gently played with her hair until she stirred awake, greeting him with a soft, good morning. He returned the greeting with a kiss and suggested they wash up and check on Eri. Momo agreed, optimistic that Eri had slept well without any nightmares. After they washed up, they went to check on Eri, finding her sleeping soundly. Izuku approached her and placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, whispering a morning greeting. As Eri opened her eyes and rubbed them, she greeted her parents in return. Momo encouraged Eri to wash up and then have breakfast. Izuku headed to the fridge, only to find it empty. He remembered that they had only bought clothes and other necessities, not food. As Momo and Eri walked into the living room, he called out to Momo, inadvertently making them both blush at the endearing term. She then spoke in a playful tone, and he felt a blush creep onto his cheeks. He leaned in and kissed her on the lips, expressing that he didn't mind her teasing. She nodded, playfully acknowledging him, while their daughter Eri looked at them with a scrunched nose and exclaimed that it was gross. They both giggled, and he picked Eri up, planting a kiss on her right cheek, while Momo kissed her on the left. Eri giggled, saying it tickled, which made them all laugh. Momo then asked what he wanted to say again. He mentioned that they had nothing in the fridge and needed to cook breakfast downstairs. Momo nodded, understanding his concern about how Eri might react to the rest of the class. She reassured him that Eri had told her at the hospital that she would be fine because she trusted them. He smiled at Eri, who looked determined and declared that if her papa was strong, she could be strong too. Happy to hear that, they walked to the main kitchen of the dorms. As they walked down, they heard voices in the common room. He glanced at Momo, who nodded and went ahead. He turned to Eri, telling her that Momo would inform the class about her presence so they wouldn't be too loud. Eri nodded in agreement. In Momo's perspective, she entered the common room to find everyone from Class 1A chatting. Her best friend, Kyoka Jiru, greeted her, and she returned the greeting. The rest of the class chimed in, saying good morning to her. Once she had everyone's attention, she announced that she had something important to share. The room quieted down, and she explained that some might remember the girl saved during the raid. She noted that those who were there knew that Izuku had fought Overhaul and saved her. Ida then asked what the discussion was about. Momo explained that when Izuku visited Eri, she had been scared of the doctor but had run to him and hugged him tightly, calling him Papa. This revelation shocked the class, but Bakugo surprisingly remarked that it was typical of Izuku to take on the responsibility of caring for her. Momo nodded, and the class felt a wave of happiness. However, Ida stood up, declaring that Izuku was too young to raise a child. Before he could say more, Mei, who had been hanging out with the class, playfully boinked him on the head, urging him to relax and acknowledging that Izuku was capable. Ida apologized and sat back down. Kyoka then asked why Momo was sharing this information. Momo explained that Eri was with Izuku and that she had grown close to her. This piqued Mina Ishido's interest, and she asked what Momo meant by close. Momo felt her cheeks heat up as the class already sensed that she and Izuku had feelings for each other. She finally admitted that they had confessed and were now together, and she had become Eri's mother. The class was shocked but quickly congratulated her, with Mina excited that her ship had sailed. Momo continued, reminding everyone to be gentle around Eri. She shot a warning glare at Mineta, stating that if he did anything inappropriate toward her daughter, he would face serious consequences. Mineta, looking frightened, agreed, and Momo calmed down, satisfied. Afterward, he walked down with Eri, and the entire class welcomed him back with cheerful greetings. He smiled and kissed Momo before Eri stepped forward, shyly saying good morning. She introduced herself as Eri Midoriya, which surprised the class, but they all returned her greeting warmly. Bakugo was the first to approach her, patting her head and assuring her that they were all there for her and that she didn't have to be afraid anymore. Kirishima followed, introducing himself and complimenting her strong dad. Mei and Ida also greeted her, reassuring her that her papa was strong and that they wouldn't hurt her. Jairu and Uraraka added their compliments, saying she was as pretty as Momo. After receiving such warm welcomes, Eri beamed and thanked everyone, her innocent smile melting their hearts. The class then enveloped her in a big hug, and he asked if they had eaten breakfast, announcing that he would make some. Kaken, Todoroki, and Kirishima offered to help, and he happily accepted. As they headed to the kitchen, Momo gave him a kiss before joining Eri, who was playing with the others. Once breakfast was ready, he called everyone to eat. Gathered around the table, were pancakes, eggs, bacon, and apple juice awaited them. Momo fed Eri, and after a while, Eri expressed her desire to try eating by herself, determination shining in her eyes. Momo smiled and encouraged her, promising to help her for a little while longer. They continued their meal, enjoying the warmth of their family and friends. After everyone finished eating and cleaned their plates, some classmates came over to play with Eri. Jaira played some music while Mei showed off her babies, Mina danced, and others enjoyed their time with Eri around. The class was filled with joy and excitement when the door opened to reveal Cammy walking in. Initially surprised by her presence, the group learned from Momo that she was their new classmate and, surprisingly, Todoroki's girlfriend. Cammy had helped him become more social and had played a role in bringing the Todoroki family back together, which made everyone smile, especially knowing that Todoroki and his family were doing well. After the events at Kamino Ward, the heroes had successfully captured Dabi, also known as Tuya Todoroki, along with Toga Himiko, Twice, Mr. Compress, Magna, Spinner, Kurojairi, and Shigaraki, who was also known as Tenko Shimura. They were all sent to rehabilitation. Kurojairi, after being rescued and having Eraserhead use his quirk on him, began to remember his true identity as Oboro Shirakumo. With Eri's assistance, Aizawa visited the hospital and requested Eri to rewind Oboro to a time before his death. With Izuku and Momo by her side, Eri was calm and successfully rewound him back to life. Oboro had feelings for Namuri Kiyama, also known as Midnight, and she shared those feelings. Midnight then asked Eri to make her younger, which she did, transforming both of them into 23-year-olds. Eri's quirk had surprisingly developed into a form of semi-time manipulation, allowing her to rewind individuals to their younger or older selves or temporarily stop time, although she had yet to master that aspect. The new couple happily reunited, bringing joy to Aizawa and Mike, who were thrilled to see their friend back in love. Magna, Spinner, and Mr. Compress decided to assist the Hero Commission. Toga became more stable and no longer obsessed with Izuku. Her quirk evolved into a vampire-like ability, granting her superhuman strength, speed, and enhanced senses, along with the power to shapeshift. She would train as an underground hero student under Aizawa, focusing on her stealth skills. Twice overcame his past trauma related to his quirk with the help of Mandalay and began assisting the Uraraka family with construction work, leading to the revival of their family business and allowing Uraraka to visit her parents more often. After rehabilitation, Principal Nizu brought Recovery Girl to help heal Tuya's scars. His black hair dye faded, revealing his original snow-white color. Most of his scars healed, leaving only some markings. With Recovery Girl's help and Endeavor acknowledging his past mistakes, he apologized to Tuya and his children. He then knelt before Rei, begging for her forgiveness, which she granted. Since then, the Todoroki family had become happier than ever. Tenko Shimura received support from Izuku, who helped him gain control over his quirk. Tenko could now activate it at will and sought Recovery Girl's assistance to heal the scratches caused by his quirk's drawbacks. He also received medication to alleviate those effects. Tenko felt a renewed sense of happiness, and All Might visited him, offering a comforting hug. Tenko expressed his desire to hear stories about his grandmother, which All Might gladly shared with the help of Gran Torino. He also requested All Might's assistance in building a grave for his last family members. Now, Tenko worked at UA, helping others cope with their past traumas. Oboro playfully asked Aizawa if he had asked out Emi yet, causing Aizawa to blush as he admitted he hadn't, but she was still trying to propose marriage. Oboro, Mike, and Nemuri encouraged him to stop hesitating and ask her out. Aizawa contemplated speaking to her more before making a final move, surprising his friends, who smiled and supported him. Back in the present, after the villains had been rehabilitated and everyone was in a better mood, Momo suddenly remembered something important. She turned to Izuku, expressing her desire to introduce him to her parents. Sensing her nervousness, Izuku reassured her that they could meet the next day to discuss their relationship and their plans to adopt Eri. Momo smiled, grateful for his support, and they shared a brief kiss. After pulling away, she expressed her love for him, and they both turned to Eri, who was having a wonderful time with the class. Izuku reflected on how much his life had changed for the better and vowed to cherish every moment and protect those he loved. Momo shared similar thoughts, feeling grateful to be with the person she loved and their newly adopted daughter, promising to cherish every moment together. Eri felt immense happiness, surrounded by her mama, papa, grandma, Uncle Aizawa, Grandpa All Might, and Uncle Nizu. Meeting her parents' friends filled her with joy, and she wished the day would never end. After a day filled with fun, everyone returned to their dorms and fell asleep. The next day arrived, marking the moment Izuku would meet Momo's parents. He woke up to find Momo peacefully sleeping on him, and he smiled as he gently caressed her hair until she stirred awake. Momo greeted him with a cheerful good morning, and they shared a kiss before deciding to wash up, wake Eri, and prepare breakfast together. After washing up, Momo and Izuku went to Eri's room. As they opened the door, they saw her playing with her toys. They smiled and greeted her, and Eri looked up, returning their greeting with enthusiasm. She set her toys down and rushed to hug both her parents. Izuku asked if she had washed up, and Eri nodded, confirming she had. Momo, holding Izuku's arm, suggested they go get some breakfast, and Eri happily agreed. The lovely family made their way to the common room, where Eri was familiar with everyone in the class. Surprisingly, her innocence had a positive effect on Mineta, who began to change his ways and apologized to the girls, earning their forgiveness and smiles of encouragement. Earlier, before the overhaul incident, Kaminari had grown closer to Kyokajiru through their shared love of music, which helped him move past his previous behavior. As Momo and Izuku descended the stairs, they found the class already gathered in the common room. Bakugo and Kirishima were busy cooking in the kitchen, and everyone greeted the couple warmly. Eri ran off to play with her classmates while Momo pulled Izuku aside to share something important. Momo recounted her conversation with her parents from the previous night. She had called her mother, who was delighted to hear from her and asked why she was calling so late. Momo hesitated but remembered Izuku's encouragement and shared everything from the overhaul incident to their decision to adopt Eri. Her parents were shocked but pleased to hear about Izuku's good character. Momo's father, after listening, expressed his happiness and requested to meet Izuku and Eri. Her mother, excitedly exclaiming about having a grandchild, made Momo giggle with relief. They arranged to meet for dinner the following night, and Momo ended the call feeling joyful. Momo then turned to Izuku, sharing the details of her conversation and asking if he was ready to meet her parents. Izuku smiled and assured her they would face it together. They shared a brief kiss before returning to the class, where a delicious breakfast of pancakes, eggs, bacon, and tea awaited them. Izuku playfully lifted Eri high into the air, eliciting giggles from her before gently setting her down. The group then gathered around the tables to enjoy their meal. After breakfast, once everyone had washed their plates, Momo and Izuku approached Eri. They informed her that they would be visiting her grandparents that evening. Eri's eyes sparkled with excitement as she exclaimed about meeting her other grandma and grandpa. The couple confirmed her enthusiasm, and the class cheered them on, wishing them good luck. Kaminari, feeling a bit anxious, asked Izuku why he wasn't worried about meeting Momo's dad. He recalled his own intimidating first encounter with Kyoka's father, which had left him shivering. Izuku reassured him that he felt prepared, especially with Momo and Eri by his side. Kaminari smiled, and Kirishima chimed in, praising Izuku's bravery. Bakugo, too, acknowledged Izuku's growth, and Izuku thanked him with a smile. As the class resumed their activities, Izuku held Momo's hand while carrying Eri with his other arm. They returned to their dorm room to prepare for the evening's meeting with Momo's parents. Later that evening, the family walked through the common room, receiving compliments on their outfits from their classmates before leaving the dorms. Momo's parents had arranged for a driver to pick them up, and they set off for the Yakuza mansion. Momo leaned on Izuku's shoulder, with Eri sitting on her lap, smiling at him. She asked if he was ready, and he smiled back, kissing her and affirming that he was. They both turned to Eri, who was excited to see her grandparents. As they arrived at the mansion, the door opened to reveal a young man and woman. The woman resembled Momo closely. They greeted the trio warmly, welcoming Momo and introducing themselves as Izuku and Eri's grandparents. Momo smiled and confirmed their identities before rushing to hug her parents. Izuku greeted them respectfully, introducing himself as Momo's classmate and partner. Her mother, Hana, smiled and encouraged him to call her by her first name. Her father, Kensher, invited Izuku to do the same. Eri, full of energy, hugged their legs and introduced herself as their granddaughter. Hana bent down to embrace Eri, playfully squishing their cheeks together, which made Eri giggle. Kensher greeted Eri with a gentle pat on the head, and she returned to Momo's side. Hana and Kensher invited them inside, leading them to a dining table that was impressively large. As they sat down, Kensher expressed his curiosity about Izuku's intentions with Momo. Izuku looked him in the eye and shared that he wanted to make Momo happy and support her in every way possible. Kensher smiled and asked about Izuku's first impression of Momo. Izuku replied that she was beautiful, confident, hardworking, and an amazing leader, causing Momo to blush and hold his hand. Kensher then inquired about Izuku's goals as a hero. Izuku spoke passionately about his desire to create a world where everyone could smile, where the quirkless were not bullied, and where those with weaker or villainous quirks were treated with kindness and respect. He also hoped to see more women rise as strong figures in society. His words left both Hana and Kensher impressed, especially Kensher, who was proud to hear Izuku's aspirations. He approved of Izuku dating Momo, and they expressed their gratitude for the blessing. Hana then revealed that Kensher was quirkless, which surprised Izuku. He had assumed that Momo's quirk was a combination of her parents. Hana explained that Momo had an upgraded version of her quirk, which only allowed her to create small items. Izuku admired Kenshi's journey and acknowledged the hard work he must have put in to achieve his current life with a beautiful wife and daughter. Kensher suggested they move on from the conversation and enjoy their meal. After dinner, Momo's parents invited them to stay the night and return to the dorms the next day. Momo mentioned she would make some clothes for both Izuku and Eri. When Kensher and Hana playfully asked when the couple planned to get married, they blushed but replied that it would likely be after finishing their studies at UA. The grandparents smiled and echoed Inko's sentiments about wanting more grandchildren, which made the couple blush again. They said goodnight before checking on Eri, who was already asleep, and then headed to Momo's room. Upon entering, they realized the room was soundproof, causing them to blush. They exchanged glances and Izuku asked if Momo wanted to take their relationship further. She smiled and locked the door, pulling him into a deep kiss that quickly escalated into a passionate moment. Izuku was enjoying the moment when he felt a rush of warmth. Momo managed to surprise him with a sweet taste, making him smile. He then got up and asked if she was ready. She nodded and requested him to go slowly as he began to move closer. A hint of concern crossed his face as he asked if she was okay, and she nodded, playfully encouraging him to continue. They spent hours together, exploring different ways to connect, both reaching moments of joy before finally drifting off to sleep. The next morning, Izuku woke up to find Momo resting on top of him. Realizing they were both without clothes made him blush as memories of the previous night flooded back. He gently kissed her head and caressed her hair. Momo stirred and smiled at him, greeting him warmly. She remarked on their eventful night, and he agreed with a smile. They shared a giggle before deciding to wash up, but Momo found it difficult to walk, so Izuku carried her to the bathroom. After they freshened up, they headed to Eri's room only to discover she wasn't there. Assuming she was with her parents, they made their way to the living room. Izuku carried Momo, and they found Kenshiro and Hana playing with Eri. Upon seeing the couple, Kenshiro and Hana greeted them with smiles, teasing them about their night. Both Izuku and Momo blushed but returned the greeting. Eri ran over, hugging Izuku's leg and wishing her parents a good morning. The couple affectionately responded before Eri returned to her toys. Hana then jokingly asked if they would be welcoming another grandchild. Just then, Momo expressed that she wasn't feeling well and asked to go to the bathroom. Izuku nodded and carried her there, while Hana and Kenshiro exchanged knowing smiles about the couple's night. In the bathroom, Momo felt unwell and ended up leaning over the toilet. Afterward, she turned to Izuku with a serious question about what he would do if she were PRGNT. His eyes widened in surprise, but he quickly reassured her that he would take care of her, Eri, and the baby, promising never to leave them behind. Momo smiled at his words and kissed him before revealing a PRGNT test she had taken from her pocket. Izuku looked at her in disbelief and asked if she was PRGNT. She smiled, saying she thought she might be, but they needed to wait for the test results. He nodded and waited outside while she took the test. A few minutes later, he heard a knock on the door and opened it to find Momo in tears of joy, holding up the test to show him the results. Momo had 2 lines indicating that she was PRGNT. Izuku was overwhelmed with joy, lifting her up and expressing his excitement about becoming a parent. Momo smiled brightly, confirming the news. They shared a heartfelt kiss, celebrating their happiness together. Afterward, they shared the news with Hana and Kenshiro, who were equally thrilled. Momo then approached Eri, affectionately calling her Angel. When Eri looked up at her mother, Momo asked if she would like to be a big sister. Eri's eyes lit up as she eagerly exclaimed that she wanted to be a big sister with many little brothers and sisters. This brought smiles to everyone's faces, and Izuku confirmed that Eri would indeed be a big sister. Eri jumped with excitement, asking when she would have her baby brother or sister. The couple replied that it would be in 9 months, and Eri nodded enthusiastically. Izuku then called Inko, who had known Hana and Kenshiro since middle school. When he shared the news about Momo's PRGNT, Inko was ecstatic, expressing her surprise and joy. Izuku reassured her that he was ready for this new chapter in his life. Inko was happy for her son and asked him to send her regards to Hana and Kenshiro. After ending the call, Izuku shared the conversation with the Yaoyorosis, which delighted Hana and Kenshiro as they reminisced about their old friend. Later, the couple and Eri returned to UA, riding with a driver. As they arrived, they wondered how their classmates and teachers would react to the news. They exchanged smiles, holding hands, with Eri perched on Izuku's shoulders, eager to feel tall. Unexpectedly, during this new bond between Izuku and Momo, their quirks had evolved since the defeat of All for One. Izuku had trained harder than ever, mastering One for All to its fullest potential. After the battle, he unlocked the quirks of past users, making One for All uniquely his. This meant that their child could inherit the quirk with fewer drawbacks. Izuku had also grown taller, reaching 190 centimeters. Momo's quirk had transformed into quirk creation, allowing her to create new quirks without the previous limitations. She had grown to 178 centimeters and might grow a bit more in the coming year. With her new abilities, Momo created quirks for herself, Izuku, Eri, and their classmates, as well as for their families. She even provided quirks for Kami, who was with Shoto, and others who desired slower aging instead of immortality. The quirks included enhanced strength, speed, and regeneration, while Kota and Eri would unlock their new abilities after mastering their original quirks. As both classes grew closer, Monoma changed for the better, and friendships blossomed among everyone. Surprisingly, Monoma and Bakugo even apologized to each other, forging a new friendship. Various heroes, including Miruko and Hawks, as well as Gran Torino and Recovery Girl, also received new quirks, enhancing their abilities. Principal Nizu chose not to accept any quirks, preferring to live a normal lifespan. Izuku's quirk evolution granted him extraordinary abilities, akin to those of powerful characters from other worlds. His appearance changed slightly, with lighter green hair and eyes reminiscent of Gojo's, but he retained his kind and caring personality. In training, he adopted a more confident demeanor, especially when sparring with friends. As the story unfolded, the bonds between characters deepened, and the excitement of new beginnings filled the air. As they opened the doors, they saw the teachers and Principal Nizu engaged in conversation with Class 1A, the Big Three, Itsuka, All Might, and Kami. Everyone turned to welcome the couple and their daughter back. Momo announced to everyone that she had something important to share, and curiosity filled the room. Suddenly, she exclaimed that she was P-Arjun in T. The room fell silent for a moment before everyone reacted in disbelief. All Might expressed his surprise at how quickly this had happened, and the others nodded in agreement. The teachers then asked Midoriya and Yaoyorozu if they were sure they could manage school, their relationship, Eri, and now a baby. The couple smiled and affirmed that they were ready, which brought smiles to everyone's faces. Mina then suggested that since Momo's quirk could create quirks, perhaps she could check how many babies they were expecting and their genders. Momo beamed at the idea and, during their ride back to UA, revealed that they would be having twins, a boy and a girl. Izuku was astonished, joyfully declaring that they were having twins. He set Eri down and lifted Momo high in celebration before gently placing her back down, while Eri cheered about having a little brother and sister. The room erupted in cheers, and the teachers congratulated the couple. Midnight playfully remarked to Momo that it seemed she was ahead of her, which made Oboro blush, and Momo giggled in response, causing everyone to laugh. Principal Nizu approached Izuku and asked if he had considered taking on a job. Izuku nodded, and Nizu handed him something that shocked everyone except the teachers, who smiled knowingly. It was a Pro Heroes license bearing the name Pro Hero Deku. Izuku looked back at Principal Nizu, questioning if this was real, and Nizu confirmed that it was a recommendation from the teachers and the Hero Commission, which had recently changed leadership due to a request Izuku had made. In a flashback, it was revealed that Izuku had asked All Might to request Lady Nagant and Stain be released from Tartarus to work for the Hero Commission. Surprisingly, they had become the new heads of the commission and had greatly contributed to society, thanking Izuku for his understanding. The Hero Society improved with their help, and the League, now in rehabilitation, sought assistance in building centers for those who had been forced into villainy. Lady Nagant and Stain encouraged Izuku to continue being the hero he was, acknowledging the significant difference he had made. Returning to the present, Izuku smiled and declared that he would do his best. Everyone felt a sense of pride, and as Principal Nizu, the teachers, Lady Nagant, and Stain emerged from the shadows to welcome him as hero, Deku, the crowd cheered. Momo showered Izuku with affection, and Eri jumped around in excitement. They invited Inko, Hana, and Kenshiro to share the news about Izuku becoming a pro hero and the twins. The two mothers exclaimed in delight about having two grandbabies, which brought laughter to the group. The parents embraced their children and granddaughter, and soon after, they celebrated with a surprise party. Later, Izuku and Momo stepped into the garden outside their dorms, gazing at the stars. They turned to each other, expressing their gratitude and love. They felt content with their lives, recognizing that everything had changed for the better, and they looked forward to creating wonderful memories together. Days passed after the big celebration of Momo's BGMI and Izuku's new role as a pro hero. One afternoon, Izuku received a call from Mr. Aizawa, informing him that the Wild Pussycats would be visiting with Kota later that day. He agreed and then shared the news with the class. Momo, surprisingly, already knew about the visit, having run into Mandalay, also known as Shino Sosaki, while shopping. They had a lengthy conversation and exchanged numbers to arrange a playdate between Kota and Eri, believing the two would get along well, especially since they both admired their favorite hero, Deku. After informing the class about the guests, they all began tidying up the dorms, making sure everything was neat and presentable. Momo turned to Izuku, revealing that she already knew who their guests were, leaving Izuku shocked and curious to learn more. As Momo shared how she had run into Mandalay and exchanged phone numbers to arrange a playdate between Eri and Kota, Izuku chuckled, knowing they would get along well since they were the same age. At 5 p.m., Mr. Aizawa entered with the Wild Pussycats and Kota, who was greeted warmly by the class. Kota, feeling bold, ran to Izuku and hugged his leg, expressing how happy he was to see him after a while. Izuku smiled back and asked how he had been. Mandalay chimed in, mentioning how grateful Kota had been ever since Izuku saved him from Muscular, pointing out Kota's red shoes that resembled Izuku's old ones. Kota blushed at the attention. Noticing a girl with white hair, red eyes, and a small horn holding Momo's hand, Kota curiously asked Izuku who she was. Izuku explained that she was his daughter, Eri, whom he had rescued from a villain named Overhaul, and that Momo was his girlfriend. He encouraged Kota to call him Izuku. Kota nodded and approached Eri and Momo, greeting them. Eri, who had not had friends her age before, was thrilled when Kota introduced himself and expressed a desire to be friends. She hugged him tightly, exclaiming her excitement, which made Kota blush, but he returned the hug. Momo and Mandalay exchanged knowing glances, recognizing the budding friendship. Mr. Aizawa announced that the Wild Pussycats would be staying for a while as their headquarters underwent upgrades. Everyone nodded in agreement. Ragdoll, who had lost her quirk during the training camp, received a copy of her old quirk from Momo, who was happy to help. Momo also provided quirks to the Wild Pussycats and Kota, who would unlock his after mastering his own. Later, everyone enjoyed dinner prepared by the boys in the class, with Mineta contributing as he had grown taller since making positive changes. After dinner, Kota and Eri went to play in Eri's room filled with toys, chatting about their favorite hero, Deku. Meanwhile, the Wild Pussycats conversed with the rest of the class, and Mandalay spoke with Momo. Momo revealed that she was pregnant with twins, which shocked Mandalay, who eagerly asked how far along she was. Momo chuckled and mentioned she was about 2 weeks along, which brought joy to Mandalay. They shared the news with the rest of the Wild Pussycats, who congratulated Momo. Curious about Izuku's whereabouts, everyone headed to the family's dorm room and found him playing with Kota and Eri, a heartwarming sight that made everyone smile. As they played, Eri pointed out the horn on Kota's hat and her own. When Kota touched her horn, Eri felt a warm sensation, reminiscent of what her parents had described. She decided to wait until she was older to understand it better, as Momo and Izuku had mentioned that dating too young wasn't advisable. Eri was grateful to have a friend who admired her father for saving them. When she expressed concern about her quirk being a curse, Kota reassured her that it was not. Rather, her quirk could help and save people. Eri hugged Kota tightly, thanking him with tears of joy. Everyone was touched by Kota's mature response. As the night wore on, the Wild Pussycats settled into the extra rooms in Momo and Izuku's dorm, with Kota sharing a room with Eri. They both fell asleep, Eri resting on top of Kota. Momo and Mandalay quietly speculated about whether Eri and Kota would grow closer in the future, sharing smiles before returning to their own dorms. Before drifting off, Kota felt the same warmth Eri had described and promised himself to protect her, vowing not to let anyone treat her poorly or call her quirk a curse. He hoped to see her smile more and to continue their friendship, perhaps evolving into something more in the future. Eri, waking briefly, gazed at the sleeping Koda and reflected on how he was her first friend, someone who understood her struggles. She felt happiness knowing that he believed her quirk was not a curse. As she smiled, she fell back asleep, cherishing the bond they had formed. Time passed, and it had been 9 months since the wild PP cat's visit to UA, with Koda and Eri enjoying their time together. Now, Momo was preparing to give birth, eager to experience a normal birthing process despite her quirk. As the cycle continued, Momo contemplated the possibility of having more children with Izuku in the future. She envisioned a unique quirk that would allow her to give birth in a remarkable way. When the time came, her belly would glow, and the baby or babies would appear in her hands. The other girls found this idea fascinating and expressed their desire to have such a quirk as well, which Momo happily agreed to. During these 9 months, Koda and Eri spent a lot of time together, enjoying each other's company at playgrounds, UA, and even the wild pussycats headquarters. Koda began to see Momo and Izuku as big brother and sister figures, along with the rest of Class 1A, Class 1B, and the Big Three. He made a heartfelt promise to Izuku and Momo that he would protect Eri, which brought smiles to everyone's faces. The encounter with Nine on Nabu Island had also concluded. In this version, Nine and his gang were defeated much more swiftly than in the original story. However, instead of facing harsh consequences, they were offered a chance at rehabilitation. Izuku, alongside the Hero Commission, extended an opportunity for them to mend the broken parts of society. They accepted this chance, and Nine returned the quirks he had taken. With Katsuma's help, he began to heal from the burdens of having 9 quirks, while Momo provided him with an exact copy of the quirks he had stolen, but without the previous drawbacks. Katsuma and Mahoro informed Izuku that they would see him at UA, and they also requested him to visit their class, which made him smile and agree. Meanwhile, Nine and his gang, alongside Toga, decided to work in the shadows to uncover hidden information not just in Japan but around the world. 9 months passed since Momo Yaoyorozu was sent to the hospital after her water broke. Everyone teachers, the wild pussycats, Class 1A and 1B, the Big Three, Eri, All Might, Inko, Hana, and Kenshiro followed Izuku, who used full cowling at 100% to arrive at the hospital first. They all waited outside, with Izuku and Eri giving Momo encouragement to push. As Momo exerted herself, the doctor urged her for one more push. Izuku and Eri cheered her on, and with a determined shout of, "Plus Ultra!" Momo gave it her all. Moments later, the doctor announced the arrival of their son, who let out a loud cry. Another doctor cut the umbilical cord, but suddenly Momo cried out again, revealing that she was having another child, which they had forgotten to mention to the doctor. The doctor requested more supplies as Momo pushed once more, and soon a girl was born, also crying. The doctor congratulated them on having twins, a boy and a girl. After cutting the umbilical cord, the doctor wrapped the babies in cloth and handed them to Momo, who calmed them down in her arms. Momo then passed the boy to Izuku, and they both kissed their babies' foreheads, beaming with joy. Their son had dark green hair that was slightly straighter, while their daughter shared the same dark green hair and freckles. Izuku asked Momo what they should name the children. Momo suggested that he name the boy while she named the girl. Izuku chose the name Tashinori, honoring his mentor, All Might, which made All Might smile with gratitude. Momo then named their daughter Hanako, combining Inko and Hana's names, which brought tears of joy to their eyes. Eri climbed onto the bed to greet her new siblings, introducing herself as their big sister. The couple smiled at her enthusiasm. The doctor then invited the rest of the class, teachers, Big Three, parents, wild pussycats, and Koda into the room. They all admired the babies, but Izuku motioned for them to keep their voices down. As everyone congratulated the new parents, the teachers and students had to leave early due to school the next day. However, the parents, All Might, and the wild pussycats stayed a little longer. Eri jumped on Koda, hugging him tightly, and he returned the gesture. The parents expressed their delight at the newborns and asked for their names. Izuku proudly announced that the boy was named Tashinori, which shocked All Might. Izuku explained that he chose the name because All Might had given him the chance to become a hero and served as a father figure. All Might thanked him warmly. Inko then revealed that she and Toshi were dating, to which Izuku expressed his support. Momo shared that the girl's name was Hanako, promising that their future children would also carry combinations of their names, which touched Inko and Hana deeply. The wild pussycats came to greet the babies before heading off for hero work. They asked if Kota could stay with Momo and Izuku, and after some persuasion from Eri, the parents agreed. The wild pussycats left for their duties, while the other parents stayed a bit longer before departing. Izuku requested All Might to take the sleeping Kota and Eri back to UA, and All Might agreed. Left alone with their newborn twins, Izuku expressed his gratitude to Momo, saying how happy he was to see their children. They shared a passionate kiss before falling asleep together. The next day, Izuku received congratulatory calls from the Todoroki family, Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, Toga, Twice, Tenko, Magna, Mr. Compress, Spinner, Lady Nagant, and Stain. The couple thanked everyone as they returned to their responsibilities. A week later, Momo and Izuku brought their newborns back to UA. While the class was in lessons, Kota and Eri played together. Momo breastfed the babies until they fell asleep, then laid them down on her bed and dozed off herself. Meanwhile, Izuku was busy building cribs for the twins, while All Might and Kenshiro followed an excited Inko and Hana to gather baby supplies, joking about the impact on their wallets. This chapter focused on the joy of new beginnings and the blossoming relationships among their friends, as some of the guys decided to ask their crushes out, leading to new pairings forming. Mirio and Itsuka, along with Eraser Joke, were among the most interesting pairings, but this chapter will focus on Shoto and Kami, as well as Kaminari and Jairu. After the provisional license exam, Shoto Todoroki encountered Kami Utsushimi, his teammate during the exam. Kami was a kind and friendly girl, and for the first time, Shoto felt a warm sensation in his heart. After the exam, she asked for his number, and they began hanging out regularly. In a short time, Shoto opened up to Kami about his past. She hugged him tightly and assured him that she would remain his friend no matter what. This made Shoto blush for the first time, and he recalled what his mother had told him about love. Encouraged by this feeling, Shoto decided to express his feelings to Kami, unaware that she liked him too. Though he was quiet and shy, he gradually became more talkative and smiled more, which Kami appreciated. One day, while visiting Kami's home, Shoto took a deep breath and expressed his desire to share something important. Kami blushed, thinking he might confess his feelings. He continued, thanking her for making him happier and for being so kind and supportive. He shared that she made him feel something he had only experienced with his mother as a child love. Kami's smile widened as Shoto declared his love for her and asked if she would be his girlfriend. Overjoyed, she hugged him tightly and exclaimed her love in return. Shoto beamed with happiness for the first time. They shared a sweet kiss, and Shoto excitedly told his classmates and family about their relationship. Everyone was surprised but genuinely happy for him. Since getting together with Kami, she helped mend the Todoroki family bonds. Rei returned home, and Endeavor became kinder, leading to joyful moments for everyone. One day, Rei and Endeavor asked their children if they would like to have another sibling who could live a happy life with them. The kids smiled and agreed, and from that day on, Shoto felt an overwhelming sense of happiness. Denki Kaminari, affectionately known as Pikachu by his classmates, or Gemingwei by Jairu, often found himself in a silly state after using his quirk too much, which never failed to make Jairu laugh. As time passed, the two grew closer when Kaminari sought Jairu's help with homework and music. Jairu was surprised but gladly accepted his request. Over time, she helped Kaminari curb his more inappropriate tendencies, which he sometimes exhibited when around the mischievous Mineta. They developed a mutual fondness for each other, and Kaminari cheered Jairu up when she felt anxious about balancing her aspirations of being a hero and a musician. He reassured her that music could also save lives and that she was already his hero. His playful antics in Yay mode made her laugh and blush, leading her to admit her feelings for him. After the sports festival performance, Kaminari decided to take a chance and confess his feelings to Jairu. He led her to a quiet spot and expressed his gratitude for her support and for teaching him guitar, which made him incredibly happy. He declared his love for her, leaving Jairu shocked and blushing. She questioned her attractiveness compared to other girls, but he insisted that he loved her for who she was and found her more beautiful than anyone else. Overjoyed, she reciprocated his feelings, and they shared a kiss before returning to class to announce their relationship. Jairu decided to introduce Denki to her parents. Her father gave Denki a stern look and asked why he loved his daughter. Nervous, Denki glanced at Jairu before responding that he loved her for her caring nature and the support she had given him. He expressed that he admired her for who she was, regardless of her punk rock style. Jairu's father softened and expressed his happiness that Jairu had found someone like him, asking Denki to take care of her. Denki agreed, and Jairu's mother chimed in with her name, making Denki smile. Jairu ran to him, kissed him while tearing up, and thanked him for his heartfelt words. They both felt immense joy in their love for each other. Since the sports festival, Tenya Ida, the class representative of Class 1A, had visited the support course to request upgrades for his suit. Upon entering, he encountered Mei Hatsum, the pink-haired girl who affectionately referred to her inventions as her babies, due to her passion for creating them. Ida felt a warm sensation as he admired Mei's dedication to her inventions. He watched her until she noticed him and exclaimed that he was Tenya Ida. Ida was surprised. Mei was not typically the type to remember names so quickly. He confirmed his identity, and she asked if he was there for suit upgrades. Ida nodded and explained what he wanted, but Mei had also developed an interest in him during the sports festival. She felt a warm feeling when she saw him and had a request. She wanted him to be her tester. Ida kindly accepted. From that day forward, the two grew closer and developed feelings for each other. Mei even helped Ida with his hand movements, encouraging him to be more relaxed and flexible. As her test subject, they experimented with her inventions, which sometimes led to explosions and laughter. Their friends, Momo and Izuku, informed the class about Eri, prompting Ida to gather his courage and approach Mei. He asked if they could talk, and they made their way to the rooftop of UA. Ida explained that seeing Midoriya and Yaoyorozu confidently share their relationship and adopt Eri inspired him to express his feelings too. Mei blushed, wondering if he was going to confess his love. Ida declared that he loved her and asked if she would be his girlfriend. Overjoyed, Mei hugged him tightly and exclaimed her love in return. They shared a heartfelt kiss before telling the class, who congratulated them. The boys were surprised that Ida had taken the initiative, but they understood how much he had changed since being with Mei. In another story, Ochako had developed an interest in Bakugo, wanting to help him with his anger issues but feeling too intimidated to approach him. She began talking to him, and Bakugo noticed her kindness, secretly appreciating her desire to help. After his fight with Izuku, Bakugo started to change, and Ochako saw an opportunity to get closer to him. Over time, she helped him manage his anger, even encouraging him to stop using harsh nicknames for his parents. This made his parents very happy and they shared a warm hug. Bakugo eventually found the courage to express his feelings to Ochako during the provisional license exam. He asked if they could talk privately, and when they found a quiet spot, he addressed her by her first name, making her blush. He thanked her for everything she had done, from helping with his anger to mending his relationship with his parents. He then asked if she would be his girlfriend. Overjoyed, Ochako jumped into his arms, affirming her love for him. They shared a passionate kiss before returning to tell the class, who congratulated them. Meanwhile, Mina and Kirishima's story began in middle school. They weren't close then, but Mina wanted to know more about Kirishima. Initially, he was somewhat awkward around her, but he admired her cheerful spirit. Once they were both in Class 1A, they began talking more and developed feelings for each other. The Baku squad noticed their chemistry and playfully locked them in a room together. While they were alone, Kirishima decided to be brave and asked Mina if she liked anyone. She blushed, nervous about being rejected, but admitted that she did. Kirishima hoped it was him, and suddenly, Mina kissed him. They both became lost in the moment, and after a couple of minutes, they pulled away, panting. Mina confessed that she loved him, and Kirishima, inspired by Bakugo's confession, declared his love for her as well. They shared another kiss, only to be interrupted by their classmates cheering for them outside the door. In a shorter story, Toru and Ojiro often talked in class, and Toru secretly liked him, especially since he didn't mind her invisibility. During training, Toru followed Ojiro, unaware that he was expressing his worries about confessing his feelings. When she tapped him on the back, Ojiro turned to see her, surprised to find her visible. Toru confessed her love for him, and Ojiro, taken aback but delighted, admitted that he loved her too, regardless of her invisibility. When she deactivated her quirk, he was astonished by her beauty, and they shared a passionate kiss. Eventually, the class found and congratulated their friends. Tsuyu Azui was a happy and calm girl who had fallen in love with Fumikage Tokoyami, the boy who embraced darkness. This connection blossomed after the training camp when Tsuyu cheered Tokoyami up after he felt weak due to Bakugo's capture. Their bond grew stronger, and they spent a lot of time together, though both were too shy to express their feelings. Dark Shadow confronted his host, urging him to confess his feelings for Tsuyu, pointing out how obvious it was that she liked him. Tokoyami sighed, acknowledging Dark Shadow's words. He decided it was time to show everyone his face without the mask, starting with Tsuyu. With determination, he walked to her dorm and knocked. When she opened the door, she greeted him with a smile. Tokoyami hesitated but finally managed to ask if she wanted to go on a date. Tsuyu blushed, recalling a conversation with her friends who encouraged her to pursue him. They had pointed out how he blushed around her and how she was the only girl he talked to. After some thought, she agreed to the date, her heart racing with excitement. That night, they met and complimented each other, both feeling a rush of warmth. As their date progressed, they found themselves at a serene pond. Tokoyami expressed that he wanted to show her something important. He removed his mask, revealing his face. Tsuyu was taken aback, thinking how handsome he looked, mask or no mask. With a smile, Tokoyami shared his feelings, expressing gratitude for her support and understanding. He confessed his love for her and asked if she would be his girlfriend. Overjoyed, Tsuyu hugged him tightly, enthusiastically accepting his proposal. They shared a sweet kiss, sealing their newfound relationship. After their date, they announced their relationship to their classmates, who cheered and supported them. Tokoyami revealed his face to everyone, who were pleasantly surprised and complimented him. The day ended with smiles and happiness, marking the beginning of a joyful chapter for both of them. In another part of the school, Shinso Hitoshi had just joined Class 1B and found himself drawn to Reiko Yanagi. To his surprise, she was equally interested in him. Reiko was the first girl with whom he had a meaningful conversation. One day, while walking to the dorms, she approached him, introducing herself. Shinso was initially shocked but managed to respond, and they began to bond over their quirks and interests. As time passed, they grew closer, sharing a warmth neither had experienced before. Encouraged by Izuku, Shinso mustered the courage to ask Reiko out. On a rooftop under the night sky, he expressed how much she meant to him, confessing his love and asking her to be his girlfriend. Reiko blushed and joyfully accepted, revealing that he was the first person to truly understand her feelings. They shared a kiss just as a shooting star streaked across the sky, marking the start of their beautiful relationship. Meanwhile, Tamaki Amajiki, who was not very social and only had Mirio as a friend, found himself drawn to Nijire Hado. Unlike others, he felt a warm connection with her and was able to speak freely. Mirio, observing this, was secretly thrilled and hoped for their budding romance. Over their 3 years at UA, Tamaki's social anxiety gradually faded, thanks in large part to Nijire's support. He became shy but no longer feared talking to people or being in large groups. As Tamaki developed feelings for Nijire, he remained unaware that she felt the same way. One day, while passing Mirio's dorm, he expressed his internal struggle about confessing his love for Nijire. Nijire overheard him and was taken aback. Gathering her courage, she knocked on the door, and Mirio opened it, sensing the tension. She asked to speak with Tamaki privately, and Mirio, realizing she had heard the conversation, played it cool. Once inside her room, Nijire confessed to Tamaki that she had heard his conversation with Mirio. Blushing, she admitted her own feelings, saying she loved him too. Tamaki, shocked but overjoyed, reciprocated her feelings, and they shared a sweet kiss. They later informed Mirio, who was thrilled to see his best friend find true love. In a different storyline, Mirio had encountered Itsuka at a beauty pageant during the sports festival. He felt a warm sensation, reminiscent of their previous interactions. He admired her positivity and her desire to uplift other women in the hero community, inspired by figures like Miruko, Ryukyu, Empty Lady, and Nana Shimura. This admiration deepened his feelings for her. Although Itsuka was initially nervous around Mirio, Yue's #1 hero, she soon recognized his amazing spirit and dedication to heroism. Mirio even offered her advice on enhancing her quirk, which made Itsuka feel valued, further igniting her affection for him. As time passed, they spent more time together, often with Nijire and Tamaki. One day, after a group outing, Nijire and Tamaki left early, allowing Mirio and Itsuka to have some time alone. They strolled along the beach, chatting comfortably. Mirio contemplated confessing his feelings, admiring Itsuka as she took in the beautiful scenery. He complimented her passion and kindness, softly adding that she was beautiful. Itsuka blushed at his words, and before he could finish, she kissed him, declaring her love for him as well. They shared a joyful moment, affirming their feelings for one another before returning to UA, where they excitedly shared the news with their friends, who celebrated their newfound relationship. Meanwhile, Shota Aizawa, also known as Eraserhead, had been reflecting on his feelings for Emi Fukukado, the pro-hero known as Miss Joke. His friends, Hizashi and Namuri, encouraged him to accept her love. Although he hesitated, he decided to spend time with Emi, which pleased his friends. When Momo and Izuku announced their adoption of Eri, Izuku recalled how Aizawa had reacted to Miss Joke during the provisional license exam. He noticed his teacher's subtle smile whenever her name was mentioned. Present Mike had blurted out her name, and while he was hesitant to make assumptions, Midnight and Oboro were eager to see Aizawa and Emi together. They urged Izuku to help facilitate this connection, and despite his apprehension about Aizawa's temper, he resolved to assist his teacher. In his room, Aizawa reflected on his friend's advice about asking Emi out. He had long rejected her feelings, fearing the pain of losing someone he cared for again after Oboro's death. Yet, he recognized that Emi had continued to express her feelings for him, prompting him to consider taking a chance on love once more. Aizawa reflected on the conversation he had with Izuku Midoriya, who had approached him with a serious demeanor. Midoriya had asked if Aizawa had feelings for Miss Joke, and although Aizawa felt a blush creep onto his cheeks, he initially denied it. However, Midoriya pointed out that Aizawa had blushed during the provisional license exam when Miss Joke had proposed to him. Midoriya expressed his desire to help Aizawa, encouraging him to consider taking a chance on love despite his past. Aizawa felt a mix of surprise and happiness at Midoriya's earnestness and decided to take his advice to heart. A few days later, Aizawa found himself hesitating as he scrolled through his contacts, finally deciding to call Miss Joke. Meanwhile, Miss Joke was at home when she received a call from Aizawa, the man she had loved since high school. She had always been aware of his struggles, especially after the loss of his friend Shirakumo, but she had heard he was recently brought back to life. This news filled her with hope, and she wondered if Aizawa would accept her feelings. When she answered the phone, she was surprised to hear his voice. Aizawa, feeling nervous, finally mustered the courage to ask if she would like to go on a date with him. Miss Joke was taken aback and asked him to confirm his intentions. When he assured her that he meant it, she felt tears of joy welling up. After years of longing, she eagerly accepted the invitation, and they agreed to meet the next day. After ending the call, Miss Joke couldn't contain her excitement. She ran around her room, overwhelmed with joy, and reminded herself to calm down and prepare for the date ahead. Aizawa, feeling a sense of relief and happiness, thanked Midoriya in his thoughts before falling asleep, eager for the next day. The following day, both Aizawa and Miss Joke dressed up for their date at a restaurant he had reserved. They exchanged shy glances, both blushing at how good the other looked. Aizawa offered his hand, which Miss Joke took gladly as they embarked on their date. At the end of the evening, she expressed her gratitude, saying she had a wonderful time and hoped to do it again. Aizawa agreed, offering to take her home. Before she left, she gave him a gentle kiss on the cheek, leaving him blushing and smiling as he walked back to Yue. Upon returning to Yue, Aizawa was met by his friends Hizashi, Nemuri, and Oboro, who rushed toward him in excitement. They bombarded him with questions about where he had been and why he was dressed so nicely. Aizawa simply smiled and revealed that he had been on a date with Miss Joke. His friends were stunned, then erupted in cheers, thrilled to see Aizawa so happy. Weeks passed, and Aizawa and Miss Joke continued to go on dates, growing closer with each outing. One day, while at a rooftop garden, Aizawa looked at her and asked why she still loved him, considering how she had pushed him away after Oboro's death. Miss Joke, holding his face gently, expressed her unwavering love for him. She acknowledged the pain they both had experienced but reassured him that the memories they shared were irreplaceable. Aizawa felt tears of gratitude as he listened to her heartfelt words, realizing just how deep their bond had become. Emi cried tears of joy as she expressed her love for Aizawa. They pulled each other into a heartfelt kiss, and after a moment, Aizawa, still catching his breath, suggested they go to her home. Emi smiled, and they held hands as they walked together. Once they arrived at Emi's house, they shared tender moments, enjoying each other's company for hours. As the night came to an end, Emi lay on top of Aizawa, feeling blissful. She expressed her happiness, thanking him for everything, and Aizawa returned her sentiment, grateful for the joy she brought into his life. They shared one last kiss before drifting off to sleep, both thinking about how lucky they were to have each other's love. Months passed since Momo had given birth to her twins, Toshinori and Hanako. It had been 2 years since their arrival, and everyone from Class 1A and 1B, along with their teachers and the Big Three, had met the twins. During this time, Koda and Eri spent more time together, mastering their quirks and unlocking the abilities Momo had given them. They frequently used their location quirk to travel between UA and the Wild Pussycat's headquarters to play. All Might and Inko welcomed a child named Izumi, and Izuku was thrilled to have a baby sister. Izumi inherited All Might's hair color and lighter green eyes. Momo and Izuku cherished their time together with their children, friends, and family, especially as they celebrated their kids taking their first steps and saying their first words. To their surprise, the twins began to show signs of their quirks. Momo used her analyzer quirk to discover what they were capable of, and she was astonished by their abilities. One for All with limitless potential, which would fully activate after 10 years, quirk creation, similar to One for All, immortality, location manipulation, enhanced reflexes, and mastery in hand-to-hand combat and weaponry. They would need training to fully harness these powers, but it made sense given their extraordinary lineage. Eri had asked Tenko if he would like to have his family back, and All Might inquired if she could bring Sir Night Eye back as well. Eri succeeded, leading to a joyful reunion. Tenko and his father had a heartfelt conversation, apologizing to each other. Nana also expressed her regrets to her son and embraced him after revealing the true reason for her departure. The Shimura family found happiness once more. With Sir Night Eye's return, Mirio was overjoyed, and Bubble Girl and Centipeder finally found relief from the paperwork that had burdened them. During this time, Mandalay went on dates with Present Mike, which surprised many, while Tenko began a relationship with Pixie Bob. In a surprising turn of events, Aizawa proposed to Emi, who enthusiastically accepted. A few weeks later, they celebrated their wedding ceremony, with Oboro, Mike, and Izuku as the best man, while Nemuri and Momo stood as bridesmaids. Emi was expecting twins, a situation that arose when Momo was contemplating the quirks she could create. She randomly generated quirks based on those close to her, including the female teachers, pro-heroes, Nijire, and students from Class 1A and 1B. This quirk would ensure that their first 2 pregnancies would be successful, resulting in 1 boy and 1 girl from each PRGNY. The boys were taken aback, some even fainting, but they quickly recovered, feeling joy at the thought of starting families with their partners. The girls shared in the excitement, especially as Recovery Girl, who had received a quirk from Momo, could touch the bellies of PRGN women who had completed a full PRGN cycle, causing the babies to appear in their mother's arms. Over the next 2 years, Momo and Izuku enjoyed many dates and holidays, growing happier together as a couple. As graduation approached for classes 1A and 1B, Izuku and Mirio were engaged in conversation. Mirio inquired if Izuku planned to propose to Momo after graduation, to which Izuku nodded in agreement. Mirio revealed he had similar intentions. Soon, the other boys from classes 1A and 1B, along with Tamaki and their teachers, gathered around to discuss their plans to propose to their partners. Someone suggested that Izuku and Mirio should propose first, a plan that everyone agreed was a good idea. When Mr. Aizawa called Izuku's name, he stepped onto the stage and shook Mr. Aizawa's hand. Mr. Aizawa praised him for his growth over the years and wished him a happy graduation. Izuku expressed his gratitude, acknowledging that he couldn't have done it without Mr. Aizawa's guidance. After graduation, Izuku approached Momo and knelt before everyone, leaving her in shock. He expressed his gratitude for her support in achieving his dreams and for being such a loving partner and future mother to their children. As he opened a box to reveal a diamond ring, he asked her to marry him. Momo joyfully accepted, exclaiming that she was pregnant with twins. Izuku placed the ring on her finger, thrilled at the prospect of having more children. Eri chimed in, excited about having more siblings, which prompted cheers from everyone present. As the excitement continued, Mirio knelt down to propose to Itsuka, expressing his appreciation for her strength and love. She too accepted, revealing that she was pregnant with twins. The boys from classes 1A and 1B, along with Tamaki and some teachers, then kneeled before their partners, asking them to marry them, and all the girls joyfully accepted. Many of them announced their pregnancies as well, filling the atmosphere with happiness and celebration. The crowd cheered as Izuku and Momo reflected on how incredible their graduation had turned out to be. The story continued as it was revealed that both families had already begun planning their wedding, set to take place in 2 weeks. The day before the ceremony, Izuku and Momo shared a heartfelt conversation before parting ways to prepare for their special day. Izuku recalled the moment he proposed to Momo, feeling excited about marrying the love of his life. Momo, filled with anticipation, left with her parents to meet her bridesmaids, eager to finally marry Izuku. As they prepared for the wedding, their friends and family gathered, including Class 1B, teachers, and various guests. Momo's dress and Izuku's suit were stunning, and everyone was filled with excitement. Izuku, feeling nervous, received encouragement from his friends, including All Might, who reassured him that he was ready to marry the one he loved. With newfound confidence, Izuku embraced the moment, ready to embark on this new chapter of his life. Izuku felt a swell of pride as he hugged Inko, tears welling in his eyes. He expressed his gratitude, acknowledging all the support she had given him throughout his life. Inko smiled back at him, sharing in the joy of the moment. All Might and Inko then made their way back to the hall, while the rest of the groomsmen wiped away tears, touched by the heartfelt scene. Meanwhile, Momo stood with the other girls, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves as they prepared for the wedding. Encouragement surrounded her, with friends cheering her on. Hana and Kensher entered the room, both beaming at their daughter. They told her how beautiful she looked, and Momo rushed to embrace her parents. Hana reassured her, reminding Momo of the wonderful man she was about to marry, expressing pride in her strength and determination. Kensher added his support, sharing how happy he was to see her grow into such an amazing woman. Momo fought to keep her makeup intact as she thanked her parents, overwhelmed with love. They hugged her tightly before joining the other girls, all of them trying to hold back tears. As the ceremony began, the groomsmen and bridesmaids entered. Izuku stood at the altar, his heart racing as he watched Momo walk down the aisle with Kensher. He thought to himself how beautiful she looked, while Momo, catching his gaze, admired how handsome he was. When they reached the altar, they locked eyes, both feeling the weight of the moment. The priest began the ceremony, congratulating everyone on the union of Izuku Midoriya and Momo Yaoyorozu. The audience erupted in applause and cheers. The priest then turned to Izuku, asking if he took Momo to be his wedded wife, to love and cherish her through all of life's challenges. Izuku affirmed his commitment with a heartfelt, "I do." Next, the priest addressed Momo, asking if she took Izuku to be her wedded husband, promising to love and cherish him as well. Momo responded with an enthusiastic, "I do." At that moment, Eri walked down the aisle, carrying the rings. She handed them to Momo and Izuku, calling them Mama and Papa. They smiled at her, thanking her with affectionate names, and Eri returned to her grandparents, beaming with joy. The priest announced that it was time for the couple to exchange rings. As the newlyweds slipped the rings onto each other's fingers, he declared them married, and they shared a loving kiss. The crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating their union. Eri, Hinako, and Toshinori joyfully shouted their congratulations, and the couple smiled, basking in the happiness of the moment. Later, on the dance floor, Izuku extended his hand to Momo, inviting her to dance. She smiled and placed her hand in his, and they twirled together, surrounded by friends and family who joined in the celebration of their special day. As the festivities came to a close, the couple bid farewell to their loved ones and climbed into a limousine that would take them to the airport for their honeymoon. Kenshiro approached Izuku, expressing his pride in him as a son-in-law and wishing him a wonderful honeymoon while reminding him to take care of Momo. Izuku smiled and thanked him. All Might then congratulated Izuku, assuring him that they would look after the kids while he and Momo were away. Izuku expressed his gratitude, and All Might walked away with a proud smile. Inko approached Momo next, sharing her pride and encouraging her to enjoy the honeymoon while looking after Izuku. Momo responded with a smile and a promise to do just that. Hana then hugged Momo, expressing her pride and playfully reminding her not to have too much fun. Momo blushed and assured her mother that she would. Eri, Hinako, and Toshinori then approached the couple, wishing them a great time and assuring them they would be good with their grandparents. The couple smiled, kissing their foreheads and reminding them to take care. The three children nodded eagerly and ran back to their grandparents as the limousine drove away. Everyone waved goodbye, wishing the newlyweds a wonderful adventure. As they drove off, Izuku and Momo exchanged heartfelt sentiments about their love and commitment to each other, promising to cherish their vows. They arrived at the airport, excitement bubbling within them as they prepared to board a private jet for their honeymoon. Upon entering the jet, they marveled at the luxurious interior, feeling a rush of happiness. Momo chose to sit on Izuku's lap, and they both felt a sense of joy at being newly married and on their way to a special getaway. They soon fell asleep, cuddled together, and a few hours later, the intercom announced their arrival. Izuku gently woke Momo with a kiss on her head, and she stirred, greeting him with a sleepy smile. They freshened up in the jet's bathroom before looking out the window to see the stunning island below, divided into two parts, connected by a bridge. They were in awe as they landed and were greeted by staff who informed them that All Might and Kenshiro had purchased the island for their honeymoon. Excited, they read a text from All Might and Kenshiro, wishing them enjoyment during their stay and future holidays. Holding hands, they walked into their new home, where their luggage had already been unpacked. They decided to take a relaxing bath together before exploring the island. After their bath, they ventured out, discovering a water park that left them speechless. Momo suggested they grab a bite to eat first, as they hadn't eaten since boarding the plane. Izuku agreed, and they headed to the dining hall, marveling at its beauty. As they sat down to eat, they couldn't help but wonder how much their fathers had spent on this getaway. They giggled and shared a delicious meal of katsudon and ramen, their eyes sparkling with delight as they savored every bite. Once they finished, they eagerly made their way to the water park. Over the next 2 weeks, they enjoyed countless adventures at the water park, gym, and dining hall, making memories that would last a lifetime. Momo suddenly felt a flutter in her tummy, and to her surprise, her babies appeared in her arms. Both she and Izuku were taken aback, realizing it hadn't been 9 months yet. Unbeknownst to them, Eri had accidentally used her quirk, speeding up the process by a few months. Momo's belly looked the same, but they were overjoyed to see their twins, a boy and a girl. Momo named the boy Kenshiro, who had whitish-black hair and Izuku's green eyes, while Izuku named the girl Izumi, who also had Momo's whitish-black hair and Izuku's green eyes. They spent their time joyfully playing with their babies, cherishing this unexpected gift during their honeymoon. Momo informed the pilot that they would teleport back to Japan, and though he was hesitant, She insisted on giving him money as an apology for the inconvenience. Grateful for her kindness, he accepted. Izuku and Momo packed their bags, with Izuku carrying one twin on his front and the other on his back, which made Momo giggle as the twins clung to him, unlike Hanako and Toshinori, who preferred to cling to Momo. Before teleporting, they took a stroll around the island, looking at each other with love. They expressed how this had been the most amazing honeymoon ever, sharing a tender kiss before teleporting back to Japan. Upon their return, they arrived at a home their parents had bought for them. As they opened the door, they were greeted by their parents, the wild pussycats, Tenko, Twice, who was dating Mandalay, and Pim, who was dating Ragdoll. Koda and Eri were playing in the back with Hanako and Toshinori, who were engrossed in their toys. Everyone welcomed the couple back with warm hugs. Inko and Hanako noticed Kenshiro and Izumi, asking who they were. Momo and Izuku proudly introduced their grandchildren, causing shocked gasps from their parents. Fortunately, the babies remained asleep despite the commotion. Momo explained how Eri's quirk had caused the unexpected arrival, and Eri chuckled nervously at the situation. The parents and the wild pussycats were thrilled to meet the twins, while Hanako and Toshinori were excited to welcome their baby brother and sister, and Eri had to calm her excitement. The couple suggested having lunch, and everyone nodded in agreement as they headed to the kitchen to cook. After dinner, they shared stories and showed pictures from their honeymoon, much to everyone's delight. Izuku suggested informing their friends about the twins, and they agreed to do it the next day. The wild pussycats and their parents stayed for the night, and soon everyone fell asleep. The next day, Momo and Izuku invited everyone over. They opened the doors to find the Todoroki family, including Kami and Toga, Class 1A and 1B, the Big Three, the Shimura family, Mr. Compress, Magna, Spinner, Lady Nagant, Stain, Aizawa with Joke, Oboro, Midnight, Present Mike, Grand Torino, Recovery Girl, and Principal Nizu. Momo and Izuku showed off the twins, and everyone blinked in astonishment. Miss Joke asked if these were the children Momo had been PR'd in tea with just 2 months ago, to which Momo nodded. The room erupted in surprised exclamations, but the babies simply smiled, unfazed by the excitement. The girls were curious about how this had happened, and Momo explained the situation, while Eri nervously rubbed the back of her head, and Koda laughed at the turn of events. As everyone calmed down, they enjoyed a meal together, engaging in lively conversations. The kids and guys headed to the pool while the girls relaxed, sipping drinks and watching the children play. Koda used his quirk to help the twins float, and Eri joined in, giggling alongside them. Momo and Mandalay fangirled over the adorable scene, wondering when Koda and Eri would officially get together. As the day came to a close, everyone gathered for dinner, except for Tenko, Mr. Compress, Magna, Stain, and Lady Nagant, who were dating Natsuo. Aizawa, Joke, Oboro, Midnight, and Mike stayed behind for a farewell. Just as they were leaving, Ms. Joke was accidentally hit by Eri's quirk again, adjusting her due date to 4 days earlier. Aizawa was not worried but rather happy, and everyone congratulated them. Eri apologized, but Aizawa and Joke reassured her, expressing their gratitude for the chance to meet their children sooner. Eri smiled and hugged them before looking after Kenshiro and Izumi with the help of Koda, Hanako, and Toshinori. By midnight, the kids had fallen asleep. Koda and Eri in one room, while Momo and Izuku tucked Hanako and Toshinori into bed and placed Kenshiro and Izumi in their crib. The adults enjoyed various games in the basement, playing pool and other activities. The guys sipped cocktails while the girls had fruit juice and snacks. They all went to bed around 3 a.m. Aizawa and Ms. Joke were in the guest room, lying down and cuddling. Ms. Joke expressed her excitement about giving birth in 2 days, sharing her happiness about their upcoming family. Aizawa, equally thrilled, promised to do his best to make them both happy, expressing his love for her. They shared a tender kiss before drifting off to sleep. Meanwhile, Momo and Izuku were cuddling in their bed. Izuku thanked Momo for a wonderful day and expressed his joy about their growing family. Momo reciprocated his feelings, suggesting they might have more children in the future. Izuku happily agreed, and they shared a passionate kiss before falling asleep. As the story progressed, Ms. Joke was at UA with Aizawa, holding his hand while they awaited the arrival of their children. Recovery Girl arrived and gently touched Ms. Joke's belly, revealing a boy and a girl. The couple was overjoyed, sharing a kiss as they celebrated this new chapter in their lives. Ms. Joke asked Aizawa about naming their children, and he suggested she name the girl while he would name the boy. She chose the name Mira Aizawa for their daughter, and Aizawa named their son Izumo Aizawa. They kissed their children's foreheads, and soon everyone came in to congratulate them. Aizawa shared with Izuku and Momo that he had named the boy Izumo after them, and they expressed their gratitude. Aizawa smiled, reminding them that they no longer needed to call him sensei, but they insisted he would always be their mentor. With smiles all around, they left, leaving Aizawa and Ms. Joke to admire their twins and share a loving kiss, excited about their future. A decade passed since Momo and Izuku's marriage, during which they welcomed Kenshiro and Izumi. Momo also reunited Koda with his parents, bringing him great joy. Class 1A, 1B and their teachers, along with friends like Nagant, the Wild Pussycats and others, had also found love and started families. Melissa married a man named Hiro, who shared her quirk and became the #1 hero in America. Fuyumi married Hiroshi, a new #1 villain who targeted only fake heroes and villains while secretly aiding the hero society. Many couples had children, with most having 2 sets of twins or even more, creating large families. Izuku and Momo enjoyed their lives as pro-heroes, welcoming 2 more sets of twins and a set of triplets, which included 2 boys and a girl. Momo developed a quirk that allowed her to change DNA, which Eri requested to become their biological child. Momo granted her wish, and while Eri's appearance remained unchanged, she was thrilled to learn she was now related to her beloved parents. All the characters had become pro-heroes, with some ranking among the top 10 in the world. The rankings included Deku at #1, Creati at #2, Dynamite at #3, and others following suit. They used their positions to establish schools, hospitals, and training centers for those struggling to control their quirks, donating to help low-income families and struggling businesses. Now, Eri and Koda were together, both in their 3rd year at UA, alongside Katsuma and Mahoro. The 4 of them had become pros in their 1st year but chose to stay at UA to complete their education. Since the rest of the adults were in the world rankings, the 4 of them became Japan's top heroes, saving many people and inspiring young ones to always try their best. Their rankings were as follows. #1 was Eri, whose quirk allowed her to manipulate time. #2 was Poseidon, Kota, who could control the seas and cause earthquakes, summon water horses, and wield a trident. #3 was Aurora, Mahoro, whose quirk created illusions but also emitted a calming aurora to soothe those around her. And #4 was the Cure, Katsuma, whose healing abilities could cure any illness or injury. Most people were unaware of the true extent of Eri's quirk. Katsuma and Mahoro had also found love in Akame and Akari, the adopted children of Tuya and Toga, who had been abandoned. Both Akame and Akari possessed darkness manipulation abilities and, before Izuku became well known, had been treated as villains. However, when they met Mahoro and Katsuma, they were treated like best friends, and over time, they grew closer and began dating, much to Koda and Eri's happiness. Meanwhile, Izuku and Momo were playing with their children when Eri got dressed up for a date with Koda. Unbeknownst to her, Koda had met with Izuku and Momo the day before to ask for their blessing to marry Eri. They smiled and expressed their approval, having been waiting for him to ask. Koda, curious about when the proposal would happen, was surprised when Momo revealed that they had already made wedding plans for him and Eri. He promised to make Eri happy and shower her with love. On their date, Koda and Eri visited a rooftop garden that had been a special place for them since childhood, known only to their families. As they strolled hand in hand, Koda knelt down, and Eri's heart raced with excitement, wondering if he was truly going to propose. Koda expressed his gratitude for Eri being such an amazing person and for being his first true friend. He opened a box to reveal a diamond ring and asked her to marry him. Eri, overwhelmed with joy, accepted, thanking Koda for making her feel loved and cherished. As he placed the ring on her finger, they embraced in a heartfelt hug, sharing a tender kiss. Eri then revealed that she was P. Arjun T, which shocked Koda. He remembered a conversation they had a few days prior and was filled with excitement at the prospect of becoming a father, especially since they were expecting twins, a boy and a girl. They shared another passionate kiss, thrilled at the news. Returning to Eri's home, they found Izuku, Momo, her grandparents, the wild pussycats, Twice, Tenko, and Mike, all gathered and enjoying time with the kids. Eri proudly showed off her ring, prompting excited reactions from everyone. The girls squealed in delight, while the guys congratulated Kota. Izuku and Momo acknowledged that they had anticipated the proposal, and Eri asked her parents if they had known, to which they confirmed they had given their blessing days earlier. As the celebration continued, Eri announced her PRGNCY, leading to a chorus of surprised exclamations. Her siblings cheered, excited about becoming older siblings and playing with the new additions to the family. The adults congratulated the couple, and the atmosphere was filled with joy and anticipation for the future. Plans for shopping for the babies began, and the husbands exchanged knowing glances, bracing themselves for the upcoming expenses. They shared the news with the rest of Class 1A, 1B, their teachers and friends, who all celebrated the couple's engagement and impending parenthood. After their wedding, Kota and Eri were overjoyed to finally marry the ones they had loved for years. They embarked on a honeymoon similar to Izuku and Momo's, visiting Island as well. During this time, Eri, eager to meet her children, used her quirk to bring them into the world, and they were filled with happiness as they welcomed their kids, who had a mix of their features and striking crimson-red eyes. Upon returning, they introduced their babies to their families and friends, who were thrilled to meet the newest members of their extended family. Over time, Katsuma and Mahoro married their partners as well, welcoming 2 sets of twins, with another on the way. Eri and Kota also had 3 more sets of twins, sharing a similar desire to have a large family and shower their children with love. As their family grew, all the children from Class 1A, 1B, and their friends eventually joined UA and became heroes. They enjoyed long lives filled with love, raising children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, all dedicated to protecting the world from great evils. Despite the challenges that arose, the community thrived, with everyone quirkless, those with weak quirks, villainous quirks, mutant quirks, and normal quirks living peacefully together. The family was ready to protect their world until the very end, leaving smiles on everyone's faces. The story concluded, and the author expressed hope that readers enjoyed it, hinting at a possible next story featuring characters like Deku, Melissa, Miruko, Lady Nagant, May, and perhaps others. The author reflected on the 4 years since the story was released, feeling happy to see its growth and appreciating the comments and excitement from readers, even if they were reading them a bit late. They acknowledged past issues with punctuation and expressed gratitude for the reader's enjoyment of the story, promising to improve in that area. A new story was in the works, unrelated to any anime or show, focusing on the life of endless perspectives. The author wished everyone a great 2025 and the years to come.